Welcome back to The Open Door. I want to start today's episode with a question. What do you do when you have a dream that no one else can see? Not a dream that you already achieved, not a dream that's already successful, a dream that's still being built, a dream that's still fragile, a dream that's from the outside might not even look like it's going anywhere. Because I think that's where a lot of us are living in that chapter right now. That chapter before the breakthrough, the chapter before the confidence, the chapter before the results. And if I'm being honest, that's the chapter I'm into. This podcast is still growing. I'm still learning. I'm still trying to figure things out one episode at a time. Some days I feel inspired. Some days I question myself. Some days I wonder if anybody's listening. But every time I think about stopping, I come back to that one thought. What if the only thing standing between where I am and where I want to be is consistency? What if success isn't about being the most talented person in the room? What if it's simply about refusing to quit? So today's episode isn't about winning. It's about the chapter before the win, the chapter where people doubt you, the chapter where you doubt yourself, the chapter where you keep showing up anyway. So if you're building something and if you're trying to change your life, if you're chasing a goal that feels bigger than where you are right now, pull up a chair, open your mind, and let's talk.
Bring in the weight you've been holding, a story ready for unfolding. Here at the open door, a quiet space you can explore. In the stillness after the rain, we'll find the beauty and the pain.
Everybody loves hearing about the breakthrough, the moment everything changed, the moment somebody finally made it. But what about the chapter before the win? What about the chapter where you're trying? The chapter where you're showing up every day and nobody notices? The chapter where you're putting your heart into something and wondering if it's going to make a difference? Because I think that's where a lot of us are. And honestly, that's where I am. I'm not sitting here with 1 million views. I'm not sitting here telling you I figured everything out. I'm not sitting here pretending I already arrived. I'm in the middle of building something, one episode at a time, one conversation at a time, one upload at a time. And sometimes that's exciting, and sometimes it's frustrating, and sometimes it's inspiring, and sometimes it's really hard. Because when you're building something from nothing, there aren't many people cheering. There aren't many signs telling you you're headed in the right direction. Most days you're operating on faith. Faith that work matters, faith that effort matters, faith that one day you'll be thankful you didn't quit. And that's what I want to talk about today. The chapter before the win, the chapter where people doubt you, the chapter where you doubt yourself, the chapter where you keep going anyway. One thing I've noticed that people celebrate success, but they rarely celebrate effort. When somebody becomes successful, everybody suddenly notices. Everybody wants to know their story. Everybody talks about how inspiring they are, but very few people were paying attention while the person was struggling. Very few people were around during the lonely parts. The truth is, being unknown is difficult. You start questioning yourself. You're wondering if you're wasting your time. You wonder if you're putting energy into something that might never grow. I felt that with podcasting. There are times when I get excited about an episode. I put real thought into it. I spend time creating it. I post it and I check the numbers, and maybe they aren't where I hoped and the views are low. Maybe the engagement is quiet. Maybe it feels like nobody noticed. And in those moments, your mind starts talking. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe nobody cares. Maybe I should stop. But I've learned something. Not every valuable thing gets immediate attention. Some things take time. Some things need consistency. Some things need patience. Why I started The Open Door When I started this podcast, it wasn't because I thought I would become famous. It wasn't because I thought success would happen overnight. I started because I wanted real conversations. I wanted a place where I can talk to people about things that matter: mental health, growth, pain, change, relationships, purpose, the things that we often locked inside. And I called it the open door because I want people to feel welcome. I wanted people to feel like they weren't alone. And honestly, podcasting helped me out too. It helped me express things I might have kept buried. It helped me become more comfortable sharing my thoughts. It helped me grow, not because the numbers exploded, but because I keep showing up. Sometimes growth happens internally before it can happen externally. And that's something I'm still learning. So let them doubt you. People will doubt what they don't understand. And that's just reality. Some people won't see your vision. Some people won't understand why you're putting effort into something. Some people won't believe it until they see the results. And that's okay, because their belief isn't required for your progress. Sometimes we spend too much time trying to convince people, trying to explain ourselves, trying to get validation, trying to get approval. But approval isn't what moves life forward. Action does. Consistency does. Showing up does. The people who eventually achieve something meaningful usually aren't the people who had the most support. They are the people who kept going when support was missing. There's the power of continuing. And I think continuing is one of the most underrated skills in life. Not talent, not intelligence, not luck. Continuing. Showing up after disappointment, showing up after failure, showing up after disencouragement, showing up when you're tired, showing up when nobody's clapping, because continuing creates momentum, and momentum creates growth. And I don't know exactly where this podcast will be in a year. I don't know exactly how many people will listen. And I don't know what opportunities might come from it. But I know this: if I quit today, I'll never find out. And I think that's true for a lot of dreams. The biggest mistake isn't failing. The biggest mistake is stopping before you can see what could have happened. This chapter I'm in right now, if I'm being completely honest, I'm still building, still learning, still improving, still figuring things out, still trying to figure new ideas, still making sense of what I'm trying to do, still making mistakes, still growing. And maybe some of you listening are in the similar chapter. Maybe you're building a business. Maybe you're changing careers. Maybe you're improving on your mental health. Maybe you're trying to become a better version of yourself. Whatever it is, don't underestimate this chapter. This chapter matters. This chapter is creating the person you'll become. One day you might look back and realize that this wasn't the chapter before the win. This was the chapter that created the win. So if you're listening today and you feel discouraged, you feel like it's not working, keep going. If you're building something and nobody notices yet, keep going. If people doubt you, keep going. If progress feels slow, keep going. Not because success is guaranteed, but because you're becoming somebody stronger through the process. And maybe that's the real victory. Maybe growth isn't the start. Maybe growth starts long before the world notices. Maybe the chapter before the win is where the most important work happens. So I want to say thank you for spending some time with me today. This has been The Open Door. And until next time, keep moving forward. I'm your host, Sal, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.